Hi, welcome back to the Free Swatches channel. I'm really sorry it's been such a long time since we've made a video. Since the last video we made, I've been trying to find another watch that's good enough for the challenge. And it's a challenge in itself to find the watch, because the first thing you need is obviously a good watch, but the second thing you need is a watch that's going to make an interesting video. And the third thing you need is a watch that is actually going to make some money out of it. And it's proven to be a very sort of tricky combination of factors that's taken me ages this time. I've actually had the watch for a couple of weeks now that I've bought, but just to remind you on where we're up to, so we've got up to £1,000, which is, it's a reasonable sum of money for buying a watch. And I've been looking for a project around the £1,000 mark for quite some time. I've been looking on the auction websites, I've been looking on eBay, I've mentioned it to friends of mine, have you got anything you want to sell, all that kind of thing. And I've just been looking, and it's been really tricky. But what I've ended up doing is buying another watch on eBay, which is quite nice because so far everything has come off of eBay. And I'm quietly confident about this one. So in a minute I'm going to show you what we've got. It's going to be a really interesting project. So we'll get this box open, we'll take a look, and I'll show you exactly what's in here. Okay, so as you can see, this was a bit of a surprise to me. I didn't know I was going to get this, but I've actually got the box with it. And it's always nice to have box and papers. And luckily, when we take the lid off, as you can see, we've got box and papers inside the box here. What's also unusual is that normally with this era of Omega watch, this packaging tends to self-destruct. As you can see, it's all in perfect condition. So I imagine you're wondering, what have I got in here and what have we actually paid for it and all that sort of thing. Well, we have from 2000 an Omega Dynamic Chronograph in this box. So let's get it unboxed and I'll show you what we've got. The watch was actually, I thought I got quite a good deal on this. The watch was £827 on eBay. And here it is. The reason it was sold cheaply, I think, was that it was on an auction. The watch was listed as not working. And I think that the guy who was selling it obviously didn't feel the confidence to put it on an expensive bike now or anything like that. He just put it up for auction, so there may have been a degree of luck on the day as well in terms of getting this watch at such a good price. But yeah, £827 what I paid for it. I'll just put this box to one side and we'll tell you a bit about the watch. So the Omega Dynamic Chronograph was made around the turn of the 21st century, which makes it sound like a long time ago, but it feels like last week to me, but around 2000. It's one of the last watches that Omega made with the a tritium dial. So you've got a tritium dial. Obviously the chronograph, it's got no date on it, it's just a seconds and minute recording chronograph as well. It has a screw down crown, and it's got these nice pushers that are also satin finished like the case. So let's tell you a little bit about the movement inside. Inside this watch we've got a split chronograph movement, which you'll be able to see if you look at a watch from the side, a chronograph, and you see that the crown and the pushers don't line up. That immediately tells you that we have a split chronograph. And these movements are also fitted to the reduced Speedmaster and used for lots of different purposes, because it utilises ETA's 2892 movement with the chronograph module on top. So what we can do, we'll take this over to the bench, we'll have a closer look at the watch and see exactly what I've bought. Okay, so we've got the watch on the bench now and we can have a closer look. Overall, I'm really pleased with what I've purchased here. My main concern when I bought this watch was the crystal. This is an anti-reflective coated sapphire crystal, and I was concerned that because the photos were not particularly impressive on eBay, I was concerned that there might be some scratches on there and things, which will cause me a big problem because it's a very expensive crystal to replace. I think I'll probably be looking at a couple of £100 just to replace this. So that was certainly a gamble, but since the watch has arrived, I'm pleased to report the sapphire crystal is in 100% condition. I wouldn't have felt 100% comfortable about sorting the watch out and selling it with scratches all over it, so that's certainly good news. The dial on the hands are also good, and what you'll notice here, this aged colour, it may seem a bit incongruous on a watch that's only sort of 20 years old, but what we actually have here is one of Omega's last tritium dials. This is actually a tritium dial, and as such the aged colour has just got slightly darker. It already was aged at the time. The watch has, I've been looking into this watch, and there's been quite a lot written about them, and it's varying opinions. I mean, admittedly, aesthetics are subjective really, but some people don't like these Breguet numerals on a military style watch. Some people don't think the hands look good with the dial and so on. But it's also worth bearing in mind that this watch is over 20 years old, and we're looking at this now in light of the fact that there are so many military inspired watches that you can buy. So I think aesthetically it has to be sort of viewed as a period item, you know, something that was made over 20 years ago now. So yeah, really pleased with the condition of the crystal, the dial and the hands. The case is actually really good. It doesn't need any refinishing on the case itself. There is some refinishing on the back, which I'll show you when I turn the watch over. The main problem it's got, when you turn the crown, there's a really loud clicking noise. And that is because there's a broken winding pinion inside. That's the main problem it's got, which I'm going to need to address in the next video when I get the watch apart and actually get on with the service. Pushers are all good. I've got to decide what to do about this strap, because personally I'm not 100% keen on it. The watch would have originally either come with a steel bracelet, or it came with a tan brown leather strap, which was like a core fan material, like suede. The thing is, you can't get those straps anymore, so what I'm probably going to do is to look for a suitable alternative suede style strap that has to be quite a chunky strap like the original one, and I think that will make a better match, a more sort of period correct strap for the watch. I don't mind this, and I do think it looks quite good with this sort of khaki style strap on there, but at the same time I certainly feel it would bring the watch up a bit in terms of appearance if I change that. So far, as you can see, not a great deal to do looking at it from here. We've got a movement repair to do, but aesthetically from this side it's all fine. What I'm going to do now, turn the watch over, and then we can have a look at the back, and I'll show you what needs to be done there. Okay, you can see the back now, and what you'll notice is that there's some scratching around the keyholes around the edge. It looks like someone's tried to get into this watch with the wrong tool. Unfortunately, the damage is fairly superficial. I will have to do some work to this area, and I'll refinish that part to get rid of those marks. But the good thing is that it will effectively be an invisible repair, because the grained finish on that surface is a circular grain, and I can achieve that finish by spinning the case back on a lathe and using some emery paper. So hopefully I'll be able to show that process to you in the next video when we do the work that we need to do. But other than that, everything's fine. Unfortunately, there's no damage around the Omega engraving, which always makes life a bit harder if it is near engraving you wish to keep. It's just some damage around the case back on the edge. So I'm quite pleased, because it means that I can just get those marks out around the edge, and the rest of the case will remain original. So it's going to look really good when it's all finished. Okay, so we've got the case back off now, and here you can see the movement. This is Omega's 1138 caliber. So what you have here is effectively an ETA 2892 movement that Omega have refined, or at least had refined by ETA, and that movement is then bolted onto a chronograph module that is underneath the movement on the dial side. So obviously I can't show you that at the moment until we take the watch apart, but I can show you the movement and the finishing. Omega did specify some quite nice finishing to these. You've got Geneve stripes on the rotor, Geneve stripes on these bridges here, and you've also got pearlage around the edge, which is really nice. So they have put some effort into it, but admittedly it's just an ETA 2892 movement. But there's nothing wrong with that. They are good movements and very reliable. Omega sold a huge number of watches with the 2892 movement in, which they call the 1120. It's called the 1138 when you have the module on there. I have had a look at the movement, so I haven't taken it apart yet. It does need work. When you wind the watch, there's a nasty noise, and it's because let's see if I can leave, no, it's not going to balance up there. Under here you have a winding pinion, and it turns, and then in turn it turns a couple of wheels, which then turn the mainspring in the barrel here. The winding pinion is physically broken. It's all shattered, so that needs to be replaced. But apart from that, I can't see much else wrong with it. It just in need of a general service. So I think I've done quite well here, because if that's all I have to do, service the movement and replace that part, and obviously refinish the case back, I think we've got a really good project on our hands, because we're going to end up with a watch that I've been able to improve without having to do anything too drastic, without having to buy anything in that's too expensive, and hopefully it's going to make a nice watch in terms of turning the watch around for the Rolex Challenge. So I'm really pleased with the way it's turned out, and I think we've done well. Well, thanks very much for sticking with the video. I hope that was of interest to you. I'm really relieved to have finally found another watch that we can actually use to move forward with the Rolex Challenge. And in theory, it is a watch that has comfortably got some profit in it. Obviously, I've got to sell the watch at the end, but that's something for the future. All I worry about for now is let's get the watch right and sourced out. So in the next video, what I'm going to do is to take the movement apart, because I'd really like to show you how a split chronograph movement works. They are very interesting, and you read a lot about them online and on forums and so on, about whether they're good or bad and so on. I thought it'd be really nice to actually do a video just showing you what's inside of them. I've got to do the repair on the movements, so I can also show that as well. So I really look forward to getting the watch ready in the next video, and then we can get it up for sale. So thanks again for watching the video, and please, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please go and do that now, then you can follow along. We are going to get back into more regular videos now, because I've got another watch, and hopefully the next one won't be quite so long away as the last one was. So thanks again, and bye for now.